guys, thanks for checking out the video today. So if you do like this video that you're about to watch, please subscribe to my channel and make sure that you hit that bell so that you get regular updates when I post up videos on this channel. And please check me out on Instagram at WrenchRampage. So, well, Toasty here, the Evo that I've been sort of hibernating on for a little while here. So what the story is I disassembled this car at the beginning of the season, hoping to sort of do a quick rebuild of it and sell it off. But unfortunately, what I discovered, if you take a look at the last episode, which was about 3 months ago, I discovered that there was an Evo 4 block in the car that the thrust was wrecked on. So basically crank walked and yeah, damaged the block. I thought it was a Evo 5 block, but it was not. So I was not able to rebuild it. So what happened is I was short an engine. So behind the scenes, I did have 2 engines being built, but this summer was rough for the machine shops in my area being backed up. So 3 months later, machining is finished on an Evo 5 block. Machining is also finished on a 2.2 stroker build that I'm also going to be starting on. This is all really neither here nor there. The result is that I do have 2 4G63s being built, but they're not on a reasonable timeline. So behind me, I have a long block that I bought a couple of weeks ago, and it came complete with a transmission, transfer case, even a downpipe still attached. So what I'm going to be doing for Toasty, this is this is actually an Evo 5 block that is verified by engine code as an Evo 5 block. It was removed running and driving. Yeah, so I'm going to go through it and do some refurbishing. It's not going to be as thorough as what I've done in the past, but I do need to do the timing. So, and with the timing, there's going to be some cleaning that's done as well. So the timing side is a bit dirty. So I'm going to be going through this side of the engine and cleaning it up. I'll be doing a cam cover gasket, valve cover gasket, because this one is leaking in the normal spot that all of them seem to. So yeah, so I'll give you a quick tour of this engine. So going through this engine, you can see here in the corner here, yeah, this is leaking for sure, the cam cover. Where it normally leaks or seems to normally leak, this corner is really bad for that. So I'm going to be redoing the gasket, and I'll be switching to another different cam cover, one that I painted in a past episode. It's going to go on here. On the timing side, just a before shot here. It's a little bit dirty, so I'm going to be cleaning all this up, putting in a new tensioner and a balancer belt as well. So you want to do the balancer belt every time. And yeah, just some general cleaning. So the idea is going to be to get this engine together quick and get it back in Toasty. There's a few other things that I want to do on this car, and I'll make a couple episodes kind of outlining what I'm working on. But tonight is going to be cleaning up this engine and doing the timing belt, and also pull off the valve cover and show you guys what I would do to reseal it and some cleaning there as well. So, all right, so stay tuned. All right, so New timing belts on. As well, new balancer. New tensioner. And as well, all the little pulleys are done. So this one behind the power steering pump, right here, is especially hard to get to while this thing's in the car. So being out of the car, the power steering pump can come off really easily. There's one bolt on this side, two on this side that you have to get to through the pulley, which is really hard to get to because the frame rail is right here. So as far as changing this guy right here, if your engine is out, this is the time to do it. You don't want to not do it. So that's done as well. So yeah, on to changing the valve cover. Clean up the seal along the bottom, put on a fresh valve cover, and keep cleaning the engine. I'm also gonna pull the transmission off, take a look at what the clutch is, and go from there. All right, so let's get to it. Just pulled out all the fasteners on the valve cover here, and started reassembling the timing side. So let's take a look at all the goop that they used on this. It's actually not that bad, but on the cam cover side, oh boy, lots of junk. That's too much, by the way. Okay, so valve train looks good. Cam lobes look fine. Not a lot of junk or anything in here. No water or oil. Or excessive amounts anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean these surfaces and then reseal it with a new gasket and a new cam cover. Okay, so looking at the surface that we're going to be putting that gasket against, what we're looking for is anywhere where there's a radical change in direction, that's where we put some sealant. You do not need a whole lot. So going over the spots, okay, right here in this corner, a little bit of sealant. Right over here, a little bit of sealant. Over top of the half moon here, just a skiff of sealant over the top, not much. All along here, nothing. Okay, going over to the other side, a little bit here. Okay, small amount here, here in the corner, and here. That's all you need. So, one of the biggest mistakes that I see often is just going crazy with sealant on the valve cover gasket. It will leak. Sealant compresses. It compresses unevenly at times, especially if you let it set up a bit. And on top of a rubber gasket, it's just not going to work. So, and keep in mind that this corner of your engine, this is where the biggest leaks happen, right here, where the oil feed is for the turbo. Just above it, this is the worst spot. So again, you just need a small little dab in the corner. You do not need a lot, and then let the rubber gasket do its job. So the rubber gasket sits in this channel. It's retained by the shape of the valve cover. That way it can't squirt out. And just torque it correctly. You won't have any leaks. Okay, so going over the part numbers, just so you guys have them. For the fasteners, there's the part number there. Okay, for the little grommets for the valve cover, there's the part number. Okay, here's the PCV valve, a new one. That's the part number. And I've used a mixture of Mitsubishi and Felpro gaskets. I have a Felpro one here going on, but Mitsubishi works really well also. As far as gasket selection, I mean, that's really secondary to surface preparation. Putting the right amount of silicone, torquing it properly. Between Felpro and Mitsubishi, they're available all over the place. These same gaskets are 4-9, Evo 4-9. So yeah, they're everywhere, and they're not that expensive. So, all right, so that's the Felpro set. All right, so we're gonna now put it together. All right, so the valve cover's on. So the valve cover bolts are about 34 inch-pounds. So that's what I used. And just looking at some places around the cover here, there's an obvious gap there where you can tell that the rubber gasket has not compressed all the way. That's going to be the idea, you know, because while this head is heating and cooling, things are going to move around. It's aluminum. Aluminum is a high conductor of heat. So it's going to move around a bit. The gasket has got to be able to move around a bit. It can't be compressed all the way. So this is why you can't just tighten the crap out of it, because it's going to leak, right? So 34 inch-pounds is what I put it to. It looks like it's sealed perfectly fine. The worst corner area here by the cam sensor has some pretty good, basically it's squished totally fine. Pushed out a little bit of the RTV that I put right in the corner, so I know that's going to be a nice tight seal. And yeah, so I cleaned up the coil pack mounting piece of metal that the last person was using on this, and it looks fine. The coil packs are Denso coils. I think they're going to be out of a Toyota Echo, but they pack some pretty good punch, so I'll see how those run on install. The plugs looked fine. They're fair. They just need to be cleaned up a bit. They weren't burnt or oily or anything like that. Yeah, so overall the engine looks pretty good. I'm going to keep doing some cleaning and get it into a state where I feel good about putting it back in the car. So, car's right here. So that's where we're at. All right, guys, so here's where we're at. So as far as the engine, I figured that it was probably a good practice to separate the transmission. So taking a look at that, I separated the transmission and inspected a few things. I wanted to know the health of the clutch. The clutch is actually nearly new. It's a Exedi Stage 1, 0 clutch dust. The friction plate still looks healthy. It's nearly new. So, and however, on the transmission side, I decided to swap out the throwout bearing, and you know, that's not really difficult to do, and it at least gives you some insurance. The throwout bearing connects to what's referred to as the wedge collar, and the wedge collar this one didn't want to disengage very easily, and I was wondering why. You know, I take the transmission off, the clutch looks new, but then I take a look at the throw bearing and it looks terrible. And so a lot of times if people are in a hurry or a shop doesn't have a throw bearing, they may try and reuse the old one, which probably isn't good practice. If that throw bearing's been in there for the entire life of the clutch, a lot of that clutch material's now gotten into that throw bearing, and it's not going to perform very well. So, and it will bind in the wedge collar, and then it'll cause some issues as far as the wedge collar doing its job properly and engaging the clutch. And if the throw bearing's really caked, when you go to actually pull the transmission, you're gonna have a heck of a time actually disengaging it. So yeah, so just some insurance. I did the throw bearing. So just to go over a few pretty necessary things, if you guys are swapping engines into Evos, which, you know, now that these cars are getting older, it's going to become way more common than it used to be. A few things you'd want to do. You'd want to do the timing belt. You'd want to do the balancer belt. You'd want to likely do the valve cover gasket. Then beyond that, clutch, throw bearing, and while you have the clutch off, you can at least get a good look behind the clutch assembly and see whether that main seal is leaking, and if that needs to be replaced, that's a good time as well. All of these things are tough to do with the car, with the engine in the car. And so with the engine out, this is the time to do it. So what I'm going to be doing is putting the transmission back on with the new throw bearing. And then after that, I'm going to go through the transfer case, which is sitting here. So I would just want to make sure that the transfer case is healthy. The LSD transfer case is in the 5 and 6, and some of the 6.5 cars have an issue with the fasteners, and so I would like that LSD to be healthy. If those fasteners have started to loosen out on the LSD core, then that's an issue. So I'll tear down the transfer case quickly. I've done north of 100 transfer cases in my time related to Evos, and I actually have, just looking over across the shop here up on that top shelf, I have 6 refurbished LSD transfer cases in stock here. So I just use those for rebuilds for cars that I'm working on. So if the transfer case is having some problems, or if it's broken, I don't want to deal with it right now, I'll just grab one of those refurbished units and throw it in. Those are all rebuilt with those 12.9 hardened fasteners, and so it's just some insurance on the LSD side that there isn't going to be any issues. So yeah, so we're going to do that. Put this transmission back on the engine, get that transfer case back on, and then at that point, really, I'm probably at the point where I may want to start going to drop this into Toasty, which would be good. I have a few other things to do on Toasty, which I'll definitely record and throw up for you guys. Some interesting stuff, some not so interesting stuff, but the interesting stuff I'll try and put up. So yeah, so let's get back on the engine and transmission and get those ready to drop in the car. All right, guys, so transmission's going to be going back onto the block. If you take a look here, so I have the block here. I have the starter suspended just by a strap. The reason I have that way is because the downpipe is still on, and a downpipe would have to come off to get the starter in normally on the car, especially these large long style Mitsubishi ones. So yeah, there's that. And I lubed up the dowel pins that go into here, and throw bearing is new. Clutch is nearly new. Yeah, so I'm gonna try, and I also lubed up the output shaft on the transmission. And yeah, so we're gonna try and line up the splines and get this transmission on. It's there's no easy or glamorous way to do this. It's a lot of just wrestling with it. So yeah, just basically gonna roll it up, and engine suspended, so it's gonna swing around, and we'll see if we can get this thing seated. So Okay, so I don't know what that was, maybe 4 minutes or so of lifting a 100-ish pound transmission and jostling it around. So basically, as soon as you get it on the dowels and it's able to jump forward on the dowels, as soon as it becomes flush with the engine plate that covers the flywheel and retains the starter, you're pretty much there. So when you have about 1/8 of an inch left, you can pull it in with the fasteners, but you can feel it clunk into place onto the dowels, and you'll know that the splines on the transmission output shaft are starting to engage, because it'll get to a point where you're not going to be able to pull the transmission back because it's engaged into that wedge collar that's on the pressure plate of the clutch. So at that point, really you're past the point of no return unless you want to get a tool in there and disengage that wedge collar. Yeah, it just clunks into place. It's heavy. This is one of the ways that I generally do it. I suspend the long block and I have the transmission just on a roller. And gotta say, guys, there's no glamorous way of doing this. It's a lot of just shaking it around. Basically, if you saw me run back and forth a bit adjusting the engine, if the engine is level with the transmission, so you have the crack between the transmission bell housing and the engine block is even on the top and bottom, it's gonna go in. If it's not even, you're just gonna fight with it. Like, don't bother keeping, pushing and wrestling with it. It has to be level. They have to be level with one another, and then it'll go in. I mean, this isn't the fastest that I've ever done, but this is pretty quick. I mean, 3 minutes or so to get a transmission on and to get it seated. Especially doing it on the floor. Yeah, that's quick. So yeah, there'll be a lot of grunting and groaning, but this is one of the easier ways to do it. All right, now I got to clean up because the transfer case side of the transmission kind of puked all over the floor, and I'll get ready to mount the transfer case. All right, the engine is pretty much ready to go in. So transfer case is on, transmission's on, downpipe is still on because I never did take it off, which was a bit challenging to work around. Yeah, so what the plan is now is to get Toasty uncellophaned and move that car over here onto the lift and get this engine out in front of it, and yeah, take a look at the wiring, double check some vacuum lines and the positions of all those things, and then drop it into the car. I still will have quite a few other small things to go through on this car. I got to go through the brakes, the door handle. I think it might be broken on one of the back doors, so that'll be I'm going to take a door apart and diagnose that, repair that. So I'll probably do a video for you guys about the easiest way to pull the doors off and work on them. Take a look at the window regulators, the switches involved in that. Just for some information, if you guys do need to dig into the doors, there's an easy way to work on them, and it's not having them on the car. So I'll show you how easy it is to get them off and realign them. So yeah, so this is where we're at, and that is going to be on the next episode. So thank you very much for checking out the video today. Make sure that you subscribe and ring that bell so that you get notified whenever I put up a new video. And keep watching these videos as they unfold. Hopefully I can get this car out running and driving before winter. That is the goal. All right, thanks for watching today. Have a good night.